Hello everybody. My name is Oana. I'm the coordinator and the founder of Herculane Project. And at the invitation of Mateusz and the whole team of IDRIA 2020, I will be talking with you guys about how we do marketing and fundraising in our project, because it is one of the most successful in Romania in terms of fundraising and of course communication. Before we go into the hard topics, let's say, I want to talk to you about Herculane Baths, which is one of the oldest spa resorts in Europe and also Romania. It was founded by the Romans, and it had various periods of progress and also regress, and I think the most prolific time was when Franz Josef came to power, and he changed the face of the town from a military one to a spa resort that was designed for the elites, for the royal family. He actually was here for 3 times, 3 visits with Empress Sisi, and it is a very interesting city with a strategic position in Romania. It's close to the Danube in the western part of Romania, and yes, it is the place where we kind of fell in love with architecture, specifically heritage. So as you can see, this is the main area where we work. It's the historical city center, which is, it has a very interesting development process. You can see 2 cores of development. One is the Hercules Square, and the other one it's the Casino Assemble, where our main project resides with the Imperial Baths. This is the historical city center with all the Class A monuments and Class B monuments. Unfortunately, we are not included in the World Heritage yet. We know that there is, let's say, line which is called Great Spas of Europe. We are not there yet. We are hoping in 10 years' time we will be. But this is the part where we are working, and specifically on the Neptune Baths. So, a little bit about our challenges, because this affects the way we communicate publicly and also with our sponsors and the people who contribute privately. When talking about Herculane Baths, we have 3 main challenges. It's, of course, the cultural heritage abandonment. Everything after 89 was kind of abandoned because of a failed privatization process, which led to many cultural sites being seized by the National Anti-Corruption Agency, and due to that we cannot access public funding. We only rely on private funding. And of course, the other issue, which is very important because we are in a spa resort, we need to cure ourselves when coming to Herculane. We need to use the water, which is the main let's say, source of life there. All the spa facilities closed. There are only a few of them open now in the new hotels. And unfortunately, since very recently, we also don't have a license for using the water. So we have various challenges, and this affects the way that we do all the activities there and communicate them. So our project, basically, it's a project for Herculane, as the title says, and it has the aim to socially and architecturally reactivate the town. On the long term, of course, we want to include the whole historical city center in the UNESCO heritage. Our project has also 2 main components, which are very important in terms of objectives for us. One of them is, of course, the reactivation of the Neptune Baths, where you can see the building there in that image above, and the social, cultural, and educational reactivation of the community, not only the public spaces. So the beginning for us was very important. And I think I want to emphasize this because in terms of communication, marketing, and fundraising, it gave us a little bit of a twist and courage to do more. Everything started with social media, with a simple post, which didn't had reach, a very big reach on Instagram and Facebook. But after coming back home to Timișoara, I wrote an article, which, as you can see, in a week time became viral on the internet. And this is when we started thinking, okay, we love this place, we want to do something, what should we do? It has significance on the national level, let's start something. And in a way, this gave us courage to just pick up the phone and call the mayor and say, okay, we want to help you, what can we do? This is how we started. We started working specifically in the beginning on this building, which is the former Imperial Bath. I will just pass 30 seconds through the whole project. So because it's legally blocked, the property has many issues. It is seized by the National Anti-Corruption Agency, as I said. We can only invest private money here, no public funding from the government or the EU. And the only interventions we can do so far are emergency interventions. Everything has to be reversible, of course, with the permit of the Ministry of Culture, because it's a national interest monument. And this and this was a challenge also in terms of how do we raise the money, because in the beginning we said we gave ourselves 6 months to save this building. It's been 7 years and we haven't managed achieving our goal. But we keep moving forward. So in the beginning, the deal with the municipality was, because they are the owners of the building, not of the land, which is seized. The deal was that we do all the technical parts and then they give us the funding. But being so naive, we didn't check as students legislation, and we didn't knew that you couldn't invest public money in sites that have this kind of issues. So that led us to, okay, how do we communicate? How do we raise the money? How do we intervene and save this monument, and also do other projects in Herculaneum? Now, we are nationally known, also international. We have a lot of press coming to Romania, especially to Herculane. Just yesterday, I recorded a movie with somebody from UK. I cannot say more details. People are very interested in this specific place, and specifically also in our project, because it feels like we are a very tiny team who tries to fight the whole system. And this is also what helped us in our communication. As results, in 7 years, we are very, let's say, engaging in social media. We use also Facebook, but Instagram, and recently TikTok. We sometimes use also YouTube for posting our videos, especially. We have many campaigns for fundraising. And in 7 years, we managed to do this from a private point of view. So no public money were invested in what we managed to do. I think we did pretty well, right? I mean, yes, but the point is, what I'm trying to say, because the results are very important, you will see why. Relying only on public or EU funding sometimes doesn't work, because you also have to engage the community. The community needs to be aware of what the project does. How can they help? How can they get involved besides volunteering? In terms of sponsors and donations, I think the numbers speak for themselves. A little bit of how the past 7 years were for us. Lots of volunteers, people coming to Herculane, also lots of results in terms of what we managed to do also on the baths and in the city. And I wanted to start with a funny quote. I don't know if you've seen The Office, but this is Michael Scott telling that he knew exactly what to do, but in a much more real sense, he had no idea what to do. This was actually us 7 years ago in terms of how do we communicate and try to fundraise. And in terms of fundraising, we started with a simple fact. We had to reach a goal, and that goal was very high, and it still is very high. So in the beginning, our goal was to raise 100,000 euro to intervene on this particular building. And as I said, if you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time. So, okay, we had 100,000. How do we do that? I don't know how to explain this, but it started again with a simple social media post after the building collapsed, and we said we need to seize the moment. At the same time, Notre Dame burned. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, and then we seized that moment too. We said, okay, Notre Dame burned, this is a worldwide known monument. Let's seize the moment and see how can we bring success to Herculane from this, because a lot of mayors from Romania were donating for Notre Dame, not for Herculane or other heritage sites in Romania. And we started with a simple post on social media, which again began to gain success, virality. It became viral overnight. And we managed to raise 73,000 just from individual donation. I mean, civic society donating only via wire transfer in the beginning and PayPal. So we had only two options, because until that point in 2019, everything that we did was with zero budget. And after this point, we said, okay, let's see if we have the civic society, how can we bring the sponsors near us? That was the real challenge, but as you can see, in that point, 4 years ago, or 5 years ago, we managed to bring with us some companies which contributed, and then we had the success of intervening on the bots. I think what's important in terms of setting a goal is to be very clear, to have a clear message, to have a clear goal, and to know how to express it online without seeming to be begging, let's say. You're not begging, you're doing something that others should do, in our case, the state. Express and impress. Visual, it's very important, especially when discussing with the sponsor, but also with the people who are following you on social media and on site, because we do also on-site communication. Everything gets focused up until this point on the building. As you can see, everybody recognizes this image in Romania. They know, even if I cut the title of our project, everybody knows it's us. Again, very simple key visual. Yes, for us, 2 euros can be 2 bricks. Donate via text message, 2 euros. Another example of how a simple campaign can be done. Here again, you can see the presence of the sponsors. It's very clear, it's there, and it's very visible. So key visuals are very important. In this specific key visual, you can see all the important logos are up there, and the private and the institutional are down. You can see the title very clear, dates, and so on. And also on-site communication in terms of how we proceed with our private sponsors and also with the community. We have a lot of events where these companies or the individuals that contribute are present. They are invited to be a participant, to have a part and a say in the activities. If we have, for example, roundtables, which, I don't know, involve how the private sector should get involved in cultural heritage sector, they are invited to the table and they have a word to say. So we are very careful on how we present ourselves to the world. We want to bring the best quality also in terms of, visual, but also the production part. As you can see, we have t-shirts, tote bags, and everything that's branded, and everything is clear depending on what the sponsor or the entity wants from it. Another very important part is after you reached a certain amount from your goal and you started to implement the activities, I think it's very important to show results. In our case, we do a lot of before and after imaging, which are very clear, they are very striking. You can see it was not very good before, now it's better, you can use the space and so on. In terms of the imperial baths, the results are very clear, and this helped us get recognition from the sponsors and gain traction with other companies who wanted to get involved. Another important aspect of getting the funds, yes, and I wanted also to say that to try to get the community to be by your side. It's the feelings, the emotions that you send out. Of course, I put only pictures with me, but my friends and colleagues do the same things. You see here a variety of emotions. It's a scandal there where we are revolted and fighting with the municipality, which, negative news in a way help you, but we don't recommend that. In this case, it was necessary, but we don't recommend that. But it's good for transparency. And of course, because we are very well, connected with the building and Herculane itself, for us, everything that happens there has an emotional strike, and you can feel it and see it if you come to Herculane, or I don't know, I think it can be seen that we are very attached to the place. So that's me. I did a protest, staying on the cold concrete for 30 minutes in rain. Nothing changed, but a lot of people started donating. And that's me crying when the building collapsed, which again helped because the next day all the news and the press from the national level came to Herculane to report. So I think turning on those feelings and expressing, I know it's not necessarily how things get done, but emotion.
Funny, but it works, of course.
It works, trust me, every time, yeah. Another important thing, when money comes your way, you don't ask any questions. Yes, it's important if a sponsor wants to bring in something. The best way on how to approach is to see how you can involve that sponsor instead of rejecting it or saying we don't have the perfect project for you, we don't have the perfect activity, we don't match in terms of objectives. No, the idea is to try to find a way in which that company or that entity can get involved, because otherwise these companies have connections, relations between them, and if they get rejected, they won't come the second time. And from that point of view, again, after a company comes and we reach an agreement, in terms of what we agree, usually, of course, social media and press mentions, also on-site activations, those are very important. Being part of the events, try to be as visible as possible. You see there the names of the companies, very big, very clear in all our communication. For sponsors, also it's very important to have visible activation, especially if you have events where people are coming. For example, if you have a, soda company who wants to give you drinks, just put them very visible there, have their own stand, try to involve them in the activity. Presence, social media presence is again very important. Mentions, of course, on all posts. Presence in the events I mentioned, and of course, another thing that's become very popular for us in our project, it's the presence of the employees of those companies in our activity, in the sense that They want to contribute large sums of money, but they want their employees to become volunteers in our project. And we try to find activities which are easy to do in terms of volunteering on the course of a few days. So I listed here all the, let's say, active channels through which we do fundraising and also communication. You can see we have social media, I mentioned, with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and everything that's getting ahead right now in terms of apps. Our website, which has also a shop integrated where you can buy different products and they are considered a donation, and you receive them in a very nicely packed box with a special message, which is usually signed by me or another member of the team, just to have that personal note. Of course, we have donor box, PayPal, Pago, which gives us money. Wire transfer, the easiest part. Text message campaigns, I don't know if you have this here or in Slovakia, but in Romania they're very popular and it's very easy. Of course, the sponsored companies and the funding lines from other companies. For example, there are some big companies in Romania which have their own CSR projects through which you apply for funding, not receiving directly. Because it's very important in terms of communication to reach a wider spectrum of people. We don't usually remain in the same bubble. As architects, we are trying to expand our, let's say, community. So I think it's very important to reach out and to send a message to the whole society. And we also do door-to-door campaigns. These are very effective, especially when talking with the community, because you need to have the community by your side when you're trying to develop a project such as ours. Again, like town hall meetings, but in a smaller sense, the professional community who comes together, influencers. This is something that we appeal on very often. In Romania, there is this trend with the content creators who are very popular, and we try to involve them as much as possible in our projects, and it's been a success so far because they are coming to Herculane, they are using some products from Herculane. The whole experience is something that they enjoy, and then they promote our project, and we, of course, receive based on that donations. Some tips and tricks. In the end, it's very important to have a specific and clear message and a clear ask. For example, in our case, we wanted to save the building of the Neptune Baths. Our objective was 100,000. It was very clear. It was put there with big letters, capital letters, and then we showed, of course, the progress. Communicate everything. We tend to be very careful with what we put on social media, as you know, NGOs who work in the culture sector, just because we don't want to upset one part or the other. We need to be attentive with the institutions who support us and so on. But the important fact is, if you communicate as much as possible and as transparent as possible, it will gain you the trust of the people who can, you know, contribute money to the project. Engage the community, of course. Organize press trips. This is a thing that we do. For example, in our projects, we try to bring 5 to 10 journalists every time, and we, of course, cover everything as expenses, and we also give them the full experience of being in a spa resort and engaging in our activities. And at the end, of course, they receive, you know, the goodie bag and everything, and they publish, of course, about us. Involve, as I said, the influencers or the content creators as much as possible. Yeah, and this is me trying to put on a brave face now. Yeah. Thank you.